There was a period in my life when I believed that success belonged to talented people. I believed that some people were born confident. Some people were born smart. Some people were born lucky. And I believed that language belonged to people who had expensive schools, foreign teachers, and perfect grammar. But life taught me something very different. Language does not belong to intelligent people. Language belongs to brave people. And confidence does not come from knowing everything. Confidence comes from being willing to begin before you are ready. My name is Jack Ma, and if there is one thing I want to tell you today, it is this. Please stop making English bigger than it really is. Stop treating English like a monster. Stop treating grammar books like they are sacred books. Stop waiting until you know everything. Because the truth is simple. You do not learn to speak English by studying English. You learn to speak English by speaking English. Many years ago, when I started learning English, I had no money. I did not have foreign teachers. I did not have expensive courses. I did not even have confidence, but I had curiosity. Every morning, I rode my bicycle for a long distance just to meet tourists, not because I wanted money. I wanted conversation. I wanted to listen. I wanted to understand another world. And do you know something funny? Nobody checked my grammar. Nobody asked me about present perfect tense. Nobody cared if my sentence was perfect. People cared that I communicated. People cared that I smiled. People cared that I tried. And little by little, English became part of my life. Not because I memorized rules, but because I used it. Today, I meet many people who tell me, Jack, I have studied English for 10 years, but I still cannot speak. And I ask them one simple question. How many minutes do you actually speak English every day? Most people become silent because they study English every day. But they don't speak English every day. And speaking is like swimming. You cannot become a swimmer by reading books about water. You must enter the water. You cannot become a piano player by reading music theory. You must touch the piano. And you cannot become an English speaker by memorizing grammar. You must move your mouth. You must train your ears. You must allow yourself to make mistakes. I know many people are afraid. Maybe you are afraid too. You are afraid people will laugh. You are afraid your pronunciation is strange. You are afraid your grammar is wrong. You are afraid you will sound stupid. I understand, because I was afraid too. But let me ask you something. When babies learn their first language, do they speak perfectly? No. They speak broken sentences. They make thousands of mistakes. Sometimes they pronounce words incorrectly. Sometimes nobody understands them. But they continue. And because they continue, they become fluent. Children do not have confidence because they are smart. Children become confident because they are not ashamed. Adults have knowledge, but children have courage. And sometimes courage is more important. I think one of the biggest enemies in learning English is perfection. People want perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, perfect vocabulary, perfect confidence. And because they want perfection, they never begin. My friend, perfection is expensive. Progress is enough. Do not aim to speak perfect English. Aim to speak English. That's enough. Because speaking badly is still speaking. And speaking badly every day eventually becomes speaking naturally. I want to share something with you. Imagine that today is day 1. Forget grammar. Forget difficult vocabulary. Forget trying to sound like Americans. Forget trying to sound like British people. Just speak. Introduce yourself. Say, my name is Jack. I live in China. I like tea. I am learning English. Simple. Very simple, but powerful, because every great building starts with one brick. Nobody starts with the roof. And nobody becomes fluent by starting with complicated words. Simple words, simple sentences, simple conversations. That is where confidence is born. On the second day, speak about your life. When you wake up, say, I am waking up. I am brushing my teeth. I am drinking coffee. I am checking my phone. I am going to work. Do not worry about grammar. Your brain is smarter than you think. Your brain learns patterns naturally. That is how children learn. That is how you learned your first language. And your brain can do it again. People ask me, Jack, should I memorize grammar? And I tell them, grammar is important, but grammar should come after communication. Imagine learning to drive. Would you spend 3 years studying the engine before touching the steering wheel? No. You drive first. Experience first. Theory later. Language works the same way. And on the third day, I want you to do something strange. Talk to yourself. Yes, talk to yourself. Some people think it is crazy, but I think it is genius, because your mouth needs exercise. Your tongue needs exercise. Confidence needs exercise. Ask yourself, how are you today? And answer, what did you eat? Answer, what are your dreams? Answer, nobody needs to hear you. You are training your mind. You are training your voice. You are building something invisible, and invisible things become visible later. Confidence is invisible. Discipline is invisible. Consistency is invisible. But one day, people see the result, and they call it talent. They say, wow, your English is amazing. But they do not see the lonely mornings. They do not see the mistakes. They do not see the embarrassment. They do not see the thousands of sentences spoken alone. Success always looks simple from the outside, but inside it is repetition. And on the fourth day, I want you to stop translating. This habit destroys speed. When you are hungry, don't think in your language first. Think directly, I'm hungry. When you are tired, think, I'm tired. When you are happy, think, I'm happy. At first, your brain will resist because your brain likes comfort. But comfort never creates growth. Growth always feels uncomfortable in the beginning. I remember when I started speaking English with tourists. Sometimes I didn't understand. Sometimes I felt embarrassed. Sometimes I smiled and pretended to understand. And sometimes I made funny mistakes. But those mistakes became teachers. Do you know something beautiful? Mistakes are evidence that you are learning. Only people who do nothing make no mistakes. A child falls hundreds of times before walking. But nobody says, maybe walking is not for you. No, people encourage the child. So why are you so hard on yourself? Why do you insult yourself after one mistake? Why do you say, my English is terrible, my accent is horrible, I am stupid? Would you say those things to your son, to your daughter, to your best friend? Then why say them to yourself? Be kind to yourself. You are learning, you are growing, and growth deserves patience, because life is already difficult. Don't become your own enemy. And I want to tell you something very important. Confidence does not come first. Action comes first. Many people say, when I become confident, I will speak English. No, speak English first. Confidence comes later. People think confidence is the cause. Actually, confidence is the result. The result of repetition, the result of mistakes, the result of survival, the result of not quitting. Confidence is earned, not gifted. And I learned this lesson many times in business and in life. People see Alibaba today. They see success, but they don't see rejection. They don't see failure. They don't see the difficult years. Success always hides the process, but the process creates the success. English is exactly the same. You don't become fluent overnight. You become fluent sentence by sentence, day by day, mistake by mistake, conversation by conversation. And suddenly one day, you realize something amazing. You understand videos without subtitles. You answer questions naturally. You stop translating. You stop panicking. And you smile because the thing that once frightened you has become your friend. And that moment is beautiful because you realize something. It was never grammar that stopped you. It was fear. And fear disappears when action becomes a habit. And habits, my friend, are stronger than motivation because motivation is like the weather. Some days it is sunny, some days it rains. Some days you feel excited, some days you feel tired. But habits continue even when feelings disappear. That is why I never ask people to study English for 5 hours. I ask them to spend 15 minutes every day. 15 minutes of listening, 15 minutes of repeating, 15 minutes of speaking. Not because 15 minutes is magical, but because consistency is magical. Many people underestimate small actions. They think success comes from giant changes. But life changes quietly. One sentence every day. One new word every day. One conversation every day. And after 1 year, you become a different person. I always tell young people something. Do not focus too much on speed. Focus on direction. Because even slow steps can reach the destination, but standing still reaches nowhere. I know some of you are watching me right now and thinking, Jack, maybe this works for others, but not for me. Maybe you are 30 years old, maybe 40, maybe 50. Maybe you think it is too late. Please remove that idea from your mind. Age is not the problem. Fear is the problem. Comparison is the problem. Impatience is the problem, not age. I have met young people with no discipline, and I have met grandparents who learn new languages with beautiful enthusiasm. As long as your heart is alive, your mind can learn. Never tell yourself, I am too old, because your brain listens to what you say. If you tell yourself that learning is impossible, your brain believes you. If you tell yourself, I am learning, I am improving, I am becoming better every day, your brain listens again. Words shape identity, and identity shapes behavior. That is why I never say, my English is bad. I say, my English is improving. One sentence closes the door, the other keeps the door open. And life rewards people who keep the door open. I remember meeting many students. Before speaking, they would apologize. Sorry, my English is very poor. And I would smile. Why are you apologizing? Are you committing a crime? No, you are learning. Learning deserves respect. Nobody apologizes for learning how to ride a bicycle. Nobody apologizes for learning how to swim. So why apologize for learning English? Speak proudly. Speak imperfectly. Speak courageously. And let mistakes become part of your journey, because mistakes are not enemies. Mistakes are coaches. Without mistakes, there is no improvement. Without falling, there is no balance. Without failure, there is no success. People often ask me, Jack, how can I think in English? And I always answer, with something simple. Live in English, not study English. Live in English. When you open the refrigerator, say, "This is milk. This is water. I need eggs." When you walk outside, say, "The weather is beautiful. I am going to work. There are many cars." Turn your ordinary life into your English classroom, because English does not live inside books. English lives inside life, and life is everywhere. You do not need expensive courses. You do not need special conditions. You do not need to move to another country. Your mouth is your teacher. Your ears are your classroom, and your daily life is your practice. Some people spend years collecting grammar books, collecting vocabulary lists, watching thousands of videos, but they never speak. Knowledge without action creates frustration, because information alone cannot transform you. Application transforms you. I have met people who know every grammar rule, but they are afraid to say hello. And I have met people with broken grammar who confidently communicate with the world. Which person has more freedom? Think about that, because language is not an exam. Language is connection. Language is expression. Language is life. And please stop trying to impress people with difficult words. Real communication is simple. Simple English is beautiful. Simple English is natural. Simple English works. You do not need to say, "I am experiencing immense fatigue." Just say, "I'm tired." You do not need to say, "The weather conditions are satisfactory." Say, "The weather is nice." Simple words, clear meaning, real communication. That is enough. Many people think fluency means speaking fast. No, fluency means speaking without fear. Fluency means expressing your thoughts naturally. Even if you speak slowly, even if you pause, even if your accent is different. Confidence is not speed. Confidence is peace. I have met people who speak slowly, but everyone listens to them. Why? Because they speak with clarity. They speak with calmness. They speak with confidence. Never rush. You are not racing against anyone. This is your journey, not theirs. And comparison is dangerous. Social media makes people impatient. People watch somebody speaking fluent English and suddenly feel bad about themselves. But you are comparing your chapter 1 with somebody else's chapter 20. Stop doing that. Focus on your own progress. Yesterday you knew 10 sentences. Today you know 15. That is success. Celebrate that. Yesterday you were afraid to speak. Today you recorded your voice. Celebrate that. Yesterday you depended on subtitles. Today you understand a few sentences without subtitles. Celebrate that. Small victories become big victories. And happiness grows when gratitude grows. Another thing I want to tell you is this. Please stop laughing at your accent. Your accent tells your story. You are not trying to become somebody else. You are learning another language. That is beautiful. People from India have accents. People from China have accents. People from France have accents. Even native speakers have different accents. But communication matters more than perfection. Never be ashamed of where you come from, because confidence is attractive, not perfection. I learned that long ago. And one thing I noticed in successful people is this. They are willing to look foolish in the beginning. They are willing to be beginners. They are willing to make mistakes, because they understand something that most people forget. Beginners feel uncomfortable, but beginners grow. People who avoid discomfort remain the same. Growth and comfort rarely live together. If you want a new future, you must accept temporary embarrassment. temporary mistakes, temporary fear, because temporary discomfort creates permanent confidence. Sometimes your family may not understand. Sometimes your friends may laugh. Sometimes people may say, "Why are you speaking English? Who are you trying to impress?" Smile and continue. People often criticize things they do not understand. Protect your dreams quietly. You don't need everybody's approval. You only need consistency. Because one day, the same people who laughed may ask, "How did your English become so good?" And your answer will be simple. I practiced every day. Not magic. Not talent. Not luck. Practice. And let me tell you something honestly. Most opportunities in life come disguised as preparation. Maybe today you think English is just a language. But tomorrow, English may introduce you to a new friend, a new job, a new country, a new dream, a new life. You never know. Life rewards prepared people, not lucky people. Prepared people. That is why I always tell young people, invest in yourself. Skills stay with you. Confidence stays with you. Knowledge stays with you. Nobody can steal those things. Money can disappear. Titles can disappear. But what you become remains. And English is not only about language. English teaches patience. English teaches courage. English teaches discipline. English teaches humility. English teaches you how to begin again after mistakes. And those lessons are bigger than vocabulary. Sometimes people ask me, "Jack, can I really speak English in 7 days without studying grammar?" And I smile. Because the answer depends on what you mean by speaking. Can you become perfect in 7 days? Of course not. But can you destroy your fear in 7 days? Yes. Can you create a daily habit in 7 days? Yes. Can you speak simple English confidently in 7 days? Absolutely. Because confidence grows faster than grammar. And once confidence appears, improvement becomes enjoyable. That is the secret. Not perfection, enjoyment. Because people continue doing things they enjoy. If English feels like punishment, you quit. If English feels like life, you continue. And eventually, one day, you wake up and realize something incredible. You are no longer forcing English. English is flowing naturally. You are no longer translating every sentence. You are no longer afraid. You are no longer silent. And then you remember the person you once were. The person who was afraid to say one sentence. The person who thought English was impossible. The person who doubted himself, and you smile. Because now you understand. The biggest prison was never grammar. The biggest prison was fear. And fear lost. Not because you were talented. Not because you were lucky. But because you refused to quit. And that, my friend, is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. Not by doing extraordinary things, but by doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. One sentence, one day, one habit, one dream, repeated with love, repeated with patience, repeated with faith, and one day your voice becomes stronger than your fear. And when that happens, your life begins to change forever. Because language is not really about words. Language is about freedom. Freedom to express your ideas. Freedom to understand the world. Freedom to connect with people you never imagined meeting. Freedom to dream bigger than your surroundings. And I learned something very important in life. People often underestimate themselves. They think they need more talent, more money, more luck, more perfect conditions. But most of the time, they don't need more resources. They need more courage. Courage to begin. Courage to sound imperfect. Courage to fail publicly. Courage to continue when nobody believes in them. I remember when I was young, people said I was not smart enough. I failed many exams. I was rejected many times. Even when I started Alibaba, many people thought I was crazy. And maybe they were right, because dreamers often look crazy in the beginning. But I learned something. People who change their lives are not people without fear. They are people who continue despite fear. And learning English is exactly the same. Do not wait until fear disappears. Fear disappears because you move, not before you move. I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now, not tomorrow, not next week. 1 year from now, imagine waking up and watching English videos without subtitles. Imagine traveling and speaking naturally. Imagine understanding songs, understanding movies, meeting people from different countries. Imagine answering questions without panic. Imagine expressing your feelings without translating every sentence. Imagine feeling relaxed instead of nervous. That future version of you is possible, not because you are special, but because human beings are incredible. The brain adapts, the tongue adapts, confidence adapts. Everything adapts. As long as you continue, but there is one thing that kills dreams. Not lack of talent, not lack of intelligence, not lack of opportunity. The thing that kills dreams is quitting too soon. Most people stop when results are invisible. They plant seeds and then become impatient. They water the seed for 3 days and complain because they cannot see the tree. But nature never works that way, and neither does confidence. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. You repeat simple sentences. You listen every day. You make mistakes. You forget words. You feel slow. And then one day, suddenly, everything starts connecting. And people think it happened overnight, but they do not know about the invisible work. Success is invisible before it becomes visible. That is why discipline matters more than emotion, because emotions change. Some days you feel excited. Some days you feel lazy. Some days you feel confident. Some days you doubt yourself. But discipline whispers, continue, and sometimes that whisper is enough. I know some of you are frustrated. Maybe you have been studying English for years. Maybe you feel embarrassed. Maybe you compare yourself with others. Maybe you think, Jack, I am too slow. Please listen to me carefully. Slow progress is still progress. Never laugh at slow growth. A tree grows slowly, but once it becomes strong, storms cannot destroy it. I would rather build confidence slowly and permanently than quickly and temporarily. Because lasting confidence is not loud. It is quiet. It is peaceful. It does not need to prove itself. It simply exists. And there is another mistake many learners make. They study only when they feel motivated. No, study because it is part of your life. Brush your teeth every day. Eat every day. Sleep every day. And practice English every day. Not because you feel inspired, because it is who you are becoming. Identity is powerful. Stop saying, I want to speak English. Start saying, I am an English learner. Even better, I am becoming an English speaker. Because identity creates habits, and habits create destiny. Many people ask me, Jack, what if I forget words? Forget them. Learn them again, and forget them again. That is normal. Even native speakers forget words. Do not panic. Learning is repetition, not perfection. Some days your memory is strong. Some days it is weak. Keep going. The ocean becomes powerful not because of one wave. It becomes powerful because of millions of waves. And confidence becomes powerful because of thousands of repetitions. I want you to stop chasing shortcuts. Everybody wants quick results, quick fluency, quick success, quick confidence. But life rewards patience because patience creates depth, and depth creates mastery. There is no magic. There is no secret method. There is no miracle course. There is only practice. Practice with joy. Practice with patience. Practice with love. And one day, English will stop being something you study. English will become something you live. You know what makes me happy? Not hearing perfect English. No. What makes me happy is hearing someone who used to be afraid finally speak. Even if their pronunciation is not perfect. Even if they make mistakes. Because courage is beautiful. Courage changes people. I have met many successful people, and do you know what they have in common? They were beginners once. Every expert was once confused. Every confident speaker was once nervous. Every successful entrepreneur was once rejected. Every strong person was once weak. So why are you ashamed of being a beginner? Beginning is beautiful. Beginning means hope. Beginning means growth. Beginning means possibility. Never be ashamed of your beginning. Be proud of it, because one day you will look back and realize those small steps changed your entire life. Maybe today you only know 50 words.